Are the Portland Trailblazers better this season than they were last season? Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are all having a great day so far. Today I have a new video for you guys. It's been a little while since I've put out a video, and I apologize for that. But if you've been keeping up on the community tab here on the channel, you would know that I actually went on vacation for about 8 or 9 days, and so that's why there hasn't been any new videos lately. But I'm back, and I'm excited to talk about the Blazers preseason because I've just been itching to talk about it, and I think there's a lot we can take away from it and kind of assess if the Blazers are actually better this season than they were last season. And yes, I know it's preseason. I'm not trying to get too hyped up or down over really anyone's performance, but I do think it's important to look at what we've seen so far in the last 2 games of preseason, what we can look forward to in the next 2 games, and just talk about a couple of the things that have stood out so far. I want to talk about Scoot Henderson, Donovan Clingan, Deni Avdija, etc., but then I also want to get into my hopes for this upcoming season and some of the other standout players that we've seen in preseason. I have another video that I've already been editing and is in the works, but I wanted to get this video out just talking about preseason before the video gets underway and while the preseason games are kind of still a hot topic. Before the video gets started, guys, please make sure to hit the subscribe button to this channel. We are on the road to 2,000 subscribers, and so it would really mean a lot. And don't forget to like the video because that's probably the #1 way you can support the channel, and just leave a comment letting me know your thoughts. I reply to pretty much every comment, and so make sure to test that theory and leave a comment. Also, one last announcement. I announced this on the community page of my channel, but I've made a new YouTube channel titled PNWDev. This is essentially going to be my full channel for any NBA content that's not Trailblazers related. I've made a few different videos that aren't exactly Trailblazers related on this channel, and they've done decent, but I would really just like to leave this channel completely for Trailblazers content. And then those of you that are interested in any basketball content that's not necessarily only Blazers related, you guys can go over to PNWDev. I'm going to leave it in the description below and will be the pinned comment. You guys can head over there, be one of the first subscribers, and be on the lookout. I'm going to try putting out maybe 1 video a week or so starting here shortly. So with those things out of the way, let's get right into the video. So first things first, we need to talk about Scoot Henderson. Scoot Henderson had a rough game 1 where he only scored 13 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists on 25% shooting and had 7 turnovers. Literally in the first minute of the game, he had 2 sloppy turnovers that were easily avoidable, and on the game, he shot 4 for 16. Now, if you were hoping that Scoot Henderson was going to come in off the rip and just have a monster game, this was not a very reassuring or helpful game that maybe got your hopes up about him, and if you're a Scoot hater, this is everything you wanted to see. But luckily for us, he came in the second preseason game against the Kings, and he had a much better performance, scoring 17 points, 4 rebounds, and 7 assists with only 1 turnover, and he shot 38.5%, which still wasn't great, but was a lot better than the last game, and he got to the free throw line 8 times, making 6 of them. So overall, Scoot Henderson had a much better game. It seemed like the game slowed down a bit better for him. He wasn't making as many of those sloppy passes like he was in the first game against the Clippers. He was making the right reads, getting to his spots, and just overall it looked like he had a bit more confidence out there and was the exact kind of bounce back game you would hope for. Donovan Clingan also was the big player that I was watching, at least for those first 2 games. The first game he looked a bit neutral. He kind of looked like a rookie and a bit what I would expect at least from a rookie center. But in his second game he played a lot better, scoring 10 points and 10 rebounds and had 1 steal and 2 blocks on 55.6% shooting. It is worth mentioning that his first shot that he took in game 1 against the Clippers was a 3-point shot that he was left wide open for, and he sunk it. I think if Donovan Clingan is getting those shot looks, then he should definitely be taking them because he can obviously shoot the 3-point ball decently, but I think as long as he's not trying to live on the perimeter so that he can get those shots and they're not his specialty, but they're just kind of a part of his skill set, then I think that would be ideal for him, as he did take 3 3-point shots in game 2 against the Kings and he missed all 3 of them, and there was an aspect of it kind of felt like he was forcing them a bit, and so if he can just take those wide open ones and those nice looks like Nurkic used to do, then I think that's great. But where Clingan shines the most is obviously protecting the rim and being in the post, and overall his defense just looked a lot better in game 2, and so I think he's starting to put it together a little bit. I'm interested to see how he plays tonight against the Utah Jazz. Deni Avdija also made his debut against the Kings, and he might have been one of the most anticipated players that we have on the roster. He's the new guy and he's one of the Blazers' best players, it seems, but he came in and only had 5 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists, only shooting 25%. He kind of just looked like the new guy on a young team, figuring it out. The other players are still figuring out how to play with Deni Avdija, and it kind of just felt that way, but I fully expect him to look better in the next 2 preseason games, and as we get into the first, maybe 15, 20 games of the season, I expect him to get a better feel of the game and just how the Blazers play. And I think that the coaching staff and the other players on the team will figure him out better. And so I don't expect this to be the regular from him, but kind of what I expected from a debut game. DeAndre Ayton and Jeremy Grant look like just as you would expect. Ayton was shooting a lot more threes than he had all of last season, which was pretty good, and a bit just what you would expect from Jeremy Grant. He's taking a lot of those ISO shots that he was still taking last game. I don't really expect him to change his game up too much this year, but if Ayton can take a lot more three-point shots than he did last year, I think that could completely open up the game for him. But both those players played only the first half of the 2 games, kind of looked like what you would expect from them, nothing too much from the vets. Overall, it looked like the sets and the schemes that they were running were pretty similar to what they were last year. There was a couple here and there that looked a bit different, but overall, it didn't look like Chauncey made any big efforts to change up his coaching plans. But hopefully in these next couple of games, they try a couple of new sets that they haven't played yet, and so that's one thing I'm looking for in the next couple of games. The Blazers also won their first preseason game against an actual NBA team since Chauncey Billups has been the coach, but unfortunately he wasn't even coaching the team. Chauncey Billups was actually getting introduced into the Hall of Fame, and so he wasn't able to coach the second game against the Kings, which was the Blazers' first win against an NBA team since 2020. A couple players that have stood out so far in preseason were Toumani Camara. He looks absolutely great. It looks like he's even bulked up a little bit, as in media day he told reporters that he's gained about 10 pounds worth of muscle, which you obviously love to see. His defense has looked great, his shooting has looked great, and you can just tell that from the last time we've seen Toumani Camara play basketball in April, he has gotten noticeably better, which you love to see. Some other guys that have looked pretty good, Ryan Rupert and Chris Murray, haven't looked exactly exceptional, but Ryan Rupert looked a lot better in game 1. He's showing more of those defensive flashes that we know he has. He made a few good passes, shot the ball okay, and just overall looks like he's making progress in the right direction. Chris Murray showed a few flashes here and there, but he still needs to get that shooting dialed in. And Devontae Graham looks like he can be a helpful vet off the bench if he doesn't get cut. And now my hopes for the upcoming season. First, I think it's important to note that we haven't seen Shane Sharp or Anthony Simons play yet, and so we shouldn't be too discouraged on the overall play of the game, as Anthony Simons is kind of one of the main primary ball handlers, and Shane Sharp is one of the guys that we expect to take a huge leap this year. I think that the Blazers should be better by a decent margin this year compared to last year. Malcolm Brogdon obviously helped the team a lot with winning games last year. He played a lot of winning basketball and played well in the clutch, but I think Deni Avdija will have a similar impact as he did. It just might take him a little bit to get comfortable on the team. I think we're going to see a lot of great development from Scoot Henderson and Shane Sharp. Maybe not as much as we all hope, but maybe more than we hope. I think it'll take time again for Deni to get used to the team and for the team to really figure out how to use him properly, but I think once they do, this team's going to look a lot better than people think. I think Donovan Clingan will also probably have a few rough games, especially early in the season, but I wouldn't be too discouraged by that, as I expect him to be consistently good on defense, or at least a good presence on defense most nights once he kind of gets used to the NBA feel. I think minutes will definitely be something to watch with him, especially if Robert Williams is healthy. He's another guy we haven't seen play yet in preseason, but I would expect the Blazers to give Robert Williams a good amount of minutes, especially just to try to get his trade value up. But post trade deadline, I definitely expect Donovan Clingan to be the primary backup center. So are the Blazers better this year than they were last year? I think without a doubt yes. But are they ready to make a push into the play-in or even the playoffs? I think no. The West is absolutely stacked right now and has an easy 13 teams who in theory could make the playoffs. With how good Victor Wembanyama is, he could definitely help the Spurs make a push, and I think pretty much any team in the West aside from the Utah Jazz and your Portland Trailblazers have realistic hopes of making the play-in or the playoffs this year. So I still think the Blazers will be one of the bottom 1 or 2 teams in the Western Conference and will be in the running for Cooper Flag. But let me know what you guys think. Are you excited about the Blazers? Have you been encouraged or discouraged by preseason so far? And what are you looking for in the next couple of games? I'm glad to be back making videos. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Make sure to leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts on the Blazers and preseason. And make sure to go check out my other NBA channel if you haven't already. And if you're quick, you can get there before we reach 100 subscribers. I appreciate you guys so much for watching the video, and I hope you guys have a blessed rest of your day. And until next time, I'll see you later.